guys, I'm here with Sanwal Ali. He is the happy, proud owner of Relax Car Rental. So I want to know a little bit more. How do you even get into the industry? So welcome.
Thank you, Chaunyce. I appreciate that awesome welcome. My name is Sanwal, as Chaunyce mentioned. I own Relax Car Rental.
Yeah.
And how did I get into this business? So it's a family-owned business. My dad actually opened the business about 10 years ago. He was not into car rentals or in the industry. Prior to that, he had a friend who had a dealership. So his friend kind of recommended to him that it's a really good business to get into if you have a little bit of money to start off a small local business. And my dad had about, let's say, about $30,000 to start off. So he's like, you can purchase a few cars, like have a fleet of about 5 cars and get started on that. I can help you out, find you a broker who can get you a good insurance quote. And my dad just went with it, him being a trooper and like having started at a very young age, having his own business. That's where I have learned a lot of these skills of what I wanted to apply into this business. And he loved it. He got into it with 5 cars. He paid them off within the first 6 months. And I guess when you're in a small, when you start working for a small business, you actually start learning about all the downfalls and things and
the ins, the outs.
You learn all about it. So I think for him, it was just getting his foot in there and he just polished it all up. And me watching him kind of grow the business year to year. At that point, I was still in school. But as I would come back to Toronto, Chaunyce, you're a friend of mine, so you of course know my background, but I was living away for school. I was taking aviation during that time period. So when I would come back to visit Toronto, I would be helping my dad every now and then over the weekends. So when I would be doing that, my knowledge kind of grew, being around cars, and that really triggered that interest of being like, maybe I want to get into this. This is something that's exciting. He works when he wants. He's his own boss. I'm referring to my dad in this case, and it kind of built that interest for me to get my foot in there. So it was exciting, just being exposed to that. That's what intrigued me, and that's how I got started into it.
So will you tell me, I know you said that your dad, like this was not his industry by choice. What did he do before it?
My dad has done a lot. So initially, like a lot of immigrants, when my dad came to Canada, he started off working at a factory.
You got to find your way. Wow.
He started from like bottom up, building himself up. So he started at a factory. He was dealing with some frozen food things, and then he worked his way up to being a delivery boy for Pizza Hut. So he would go door to door and do deliveries and whatnot, and he would just make the minimum wage with a little bit of tips here and there, and he wasn't having it. My dad started his own business when he was 17 initially. We used to live in Europe prior to coming to Canada, so we lived in Holland, which is where I was born. So we lived there for about 10 years. So my dad he had his own business there, but he wanted to migrate and move to Canada because of the language barrier in Holland. They speak Dutch there, if you're not aware of that, but in Netherlands they speak Dutch. So it was very tough for my mom and also for us growing up, just learning the language there. So he wanted us to come here to Canada where we could study and go anywhere abroad and actually be able to communicate and speak and use our credentials. So when we came to Canada, he had to start from scratch. All his business, he left everything behind. It was a new country. So basically he was doing frozen foods before that. He was doing pizza delivery. And after that, he's like, I can't do this anymore.
I've had enough.
It was like one of those winter nights where he went outside. It was like 4 p.m. when it's completely dark outside, lifting boxes. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. I need to call it quits. I'm going to start my own business. Went to my mom. He's like, I've saved up like $20,000. Can you help me out a little bit? Mom's like, of course. Like, I'll pitch in another 10 grand. Together, they had about $30,000 to start off. So they bought those 5 cars, and now we're at about 60 cars.
Wow.
So all paid off. So
Amazing.
it's been slow progress, but over the years now it's all assets, right? That we have, so it's good.
So can you tell me, what sort of cars do you guys specialize in? Or do you guys have a sort of niche?
So the way it works with our car rental company is we cater to all kinds of needs. So we have cars that are just regular sedans. It's like a day-to-day car that you would need. Honda Civics, Honda Accords, Mazda 3, Mazda 5s, Hyundai Sonatas, and Elantras. They're very popular. All these vehicles are day-to-day rentals. That's what we refer to them as. And then the second branch of vehicles we have are luxury rentals. And those ones are essentially Mercedes-Benz, BMWs. We have a couple of SUVs. So these are the ones that people want to rent out when there's special events going on. Or if you've got money, you want to go for a couple of weeks on a nice little trip and you want to spend that extra little bit of money with your family. So these are luxury rentals that we have. We have a 7 Series, BMW 7 Series. It's one of the top of the lines. If any of you know cars, you will know what a BMW 7 Series is. It's beautiful when you sit in one. So yeah, so we have 2 branches. We have the everyday, day-to-day rentals, and then we have the luxury rentals.
What's your favorite car that you guys have in your fleet?
As I think I kind of just pointed that one out, but it's definitely the 7 Series. When you sit inside that vehicle, you feel like you are a VIP. Like, it massages your back, it's all fully loaded, it's really nice. Like, it has a moonroof, and moonroof basically, it extends from the front to the back. So when you open it up, you can just look and just enjoy the entire view of the sky. It's just beautiful in general, and it's very luxury. You feel really good when you're sitting in it. So, and it's comfortable to drive. It's a twin turbo engine, so it's a really nice vehicle.
You know so much about cars. I feel like I'm shocked by this. I know very little about cars. Can you tell me, knowing so much about cars, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did it have anything to do with cars? Did you see yourself going in this direction?
So growing up, I actually was kind of in the similar field, but not really, which is transportation. Transportation in the sense that I went to school for aviation to become a pilot. So transportation in the air. When we're talking about rentals, car rentals, it's transportation on the ground. So it's kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. My passion has always been traveling and flying. Like, that was something that I grew up knowing since I was 12 years old. I was like, I want to travel the world. I want to get paid to travel. That's something I'm going to do one day. So I went to school for aviation. Prior to that, I was in Air Cadets for 12 years. And that was something that I really enjoyed. It really helped me build up my interest for aviation. And I got a scholarship when I was 16 years old to get my glider scholarship. And that was a $20,000 scholarship that Air Cadets paid for. And my career took off from there. So right now, I'm just branching out and looking at different options of how I can make a secondary source of income. I think it's always nice to have a backup plan. So yeah, so aviation and I guess car rentals had that in common. It's transportation, one on the air, one on the ground. So,
so how long have you been doing this?
Me personally, it's been, so as I told you, it was on and off with my dad when I used to visit. But me personally, being in this business, having taken full control, it's been about 2.5 years now.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's been really exciting. I've gotten to meet a lot of great people. We have a lot of our customers that are actually from abroad, because we're about 7 minutes away from the airport, which is what a lot of people don't realize. We're just 7 minutes from Pearson Airport. So most people that are staying around the airport area at the hotels, they need rentals. If you don't have a valid credit card, or it's not working, or whatever, you've maxed it out, or you don't have good credit score, we can help you out, because we can rent you vehicles without having a credit card. We can do it on cash deposits.
Oh, really?
So that's something that sets us apart from Avis, Enterprise, Budget, all these big rental companies. If we want to compete as a private rental company, that's something that we offer that's a little bit different from them.
So is there anything else that you need in that process?
You would obviously definitely need a valid ID.
Driver's license.
Yep. Number one, if you're gonna take a vehicle, you're gonna need a driver's license.
Taking the vehicle, we need you to learn how to drive.
So that's definitely number one. Number two would be to have a second source of ID, because normally when you're renting out with Budget, Avis, they take a credit card, which is your second source of ID. That is also considered an ID. But with us, if you're renting out with just cash, or debit, whatever you want, but you don't have a valid credit card, then we would definitely need a second source of ID. So people normally like to bring a passport or something that we can verify that that's actually you on your driver's license. And that's pretty much it. We just want to make sure. Deposit, that's something, so it depends. There's two ways to work this out. If you have a credit card, we would do a pre-authorization on your credit card. If you're paying with your cash, we would take a deposit with cash that we hold until you have the vehicle. When you drop off the vehicle, the cash deposit gets returned to you. We just hold a certain amount depending on how long you rented the vehicle to make sure you have no 407 or parking tickets, any red light tickets, because a lot of those tickets take about 15 to 30 days to come in. So they mail them out after 15 to 30 days. So we hold a little portion of that cash or debit, whatever you want to say, to make sure that we can cover our end of you using maybe any toll routes.
Amazing.
During your stay.
Well,
So,
good.
yeah.
That makes sense. It's actually a smart business decision to kind of set you apart from all the competition.
Right. We had to do something a little bit different because most car rental companies that start off privately, they're out of business within the first 2 years.
Really?
And that's because they're having to compete with all these huge franchises like Budget, Enterprise, Avis, like all of them. They're huge. They are everywhere. And when you're trying to compete with them, your prices, they don't match.
Yeah.
It's very hard to pay off the insurance that you have to pay off every month. So if we're competing with them, we have to do something a little bit different. But the way these huge rental companies work is that they need a valid credit card. They need you to be a certain age. They charge you for waivers. They make sure that they get their money out of you in any way they can.
We still need you to be a certain age.
Yes, please. 21 and over. I should point that out. But yeah, as long as you have a valid driver's license, if you have a credit card, that's even better. That actually means less liability on us, and you're better protected as well. A lot of your credit cards nowadays, they have insurance already on them. Like I know RBC has that, TD has that. If you're renting out a vehicle, you're insured as is. So if some people don't know that, if you don't know prior to coming, you can always call your credit card company and verify, and that automatically lowers your rental rate. Because you have your own insurance, so we work out a better rate for you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we're not having to put it on our insurance, so it kind of works out in the long run in that sense.
That's amazing. Is there anything that you feel as though when people rent a car, they should know, but they don't?
I think most people that rent vehicles are already aware of what they require, like what they need. But I think my biggest point I would like to point out is anything can happen when you're on the road. Cars break down. Being in the business, I know because a lot of times customers forget that you're the one driving the rental. I'm not personally. Anything can happen. It falls on you at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yes, if a car breaks down, if there's a mechanical issue, if you've gotten in an accident, things happen. You know, all of this happens when you're on the road. We've got you covered. We're gonna help you out. We have full insurance on our vehicles. We try to take care of our customer. There's been times where I've had to drive 3 hours away to make sure, on my day off, mind you, on my day off.
You get those?
Oh,
as an entrepreneur? Good for you.
One day off, but that rarely happens. As I said, I had to drive on my day off to drop off a vehicle to a customer because their car broke down. And they were only in town for a week. They ended up going to Windsor. So if you're obviously from the local community, you know Windsor is about 3 to 4 hours away from here. So they drove to Windsor to go to Detroit for the weekend and come back. And while they were there, they ended up getting into a little minor accident where the vehicle was leaking some sort of fluid and they couldn't drive the car. Of course, it's not safe to drive that, but that ruined their entire weekend plans. So I decided to take it upon myself to drive all the way there and make a weekend trip out of it for myself while I was at it. Dropped off a vehicle to them, made their stay better, and I had to obviously get my vehicle towed. But my biggest pointer that I was trying to point out is things happen when you're on the road. We're going to try our best to help you out. We're not here to just take your money and run away. We obviously want to take care of our customers. If you're going to come back, we want to make sure you remember us for an experience. It's not just you coming in, handing us your money, taking a car and leaving. We want to make sure that you're well taken care of. So that's just one way for us to make sure that we set ourselves apart from everyone else is we deliver at your door. We help you out. We will come and do whatever we can to make sure that your experience while you're renting your vehicle out with us is the best that it can be. And we've had a lot of our customers that have been renting with us for years now.
Yeah.
They will come back and they will have family and friends that will come back. Some people can't finance or lease cars, so they also want to rent vehicles at that point because they can't afford to just put a payment down to full on buy a vehicle, like put on $20,000 $30,000 out there. So what do? They rent out vehicles. You're just paying, it's like leasing a vehicle.
Yeah.
We work out rates for them. We have one customer who's been renting for 6 months. So we work out a rate for him every month. He comes and he pays his monthly rental, and he's been keeping his car. It's like his own. He's gotten it tinted, and he takes care. And he loves it. So yes, that's that.
Amazing. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to touch upon that you kind of mentioned is, did you say that you can drop the car off to wherever your client may be?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Of course. So some customers, they require rentals because they've gotten in a car accident or their car has broken down. They'll give us a call. It's all appointment based, and sometimes we have to drop off a vehicle to them at their location. It could be at a car accident scene, or it could be at a mechanic shop. It could be at their house because they have no vehicle to come to you. Yes, we have this cool fancy thing called Uber nowadays where you can just get that to come to your house and pick you up. But some customers don't want to do that. They don't want to put extra money out there. So if you give us a call, you make an appointment, you let us know you want to rent out a vehicle, we can come to your house. We can drop off a car there for you. We can actually sign the contract there on the spot, get your information, you're good to go.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's something different. We deliver at your door. That's how we do it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was super great getting to know you and a little bit more about your family-run business. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chaunyce, for having me. It was wonderful chatting with you a little bit about the business, and I think whatever you're doing here is wonderful.
Oh, thank
Connecting
you.
businesses together and getting us in the limelight. So please give me a call whenever you guys do need rentals. Our number is 647-606-3680, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Thank you so much, guys. As always, support local and share, like, and comment on this video. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.